No. Boo. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Hookaholigst, my channel here. I am your friendly neighborhood Hookahologist, Tommy Atomic Rodriguez, as you already know. Now, let's get into the video of what we like to talk about in this episode of Hookah and Movie Reviews. Today, we are going to be talking about, we might talk about both, but right now, since Shazam has already just come out in theaters, and I happened to have the pleasure to go with my boss Raymond to go to an early release of Shazam the movie, which was fantastic. I'd like to say it's a very, very good movie compared to what the DCEU has made so far. So how's everyone doing? All of no one watching so far, but it's okay because I do this for everyone watching later because I need view time and I can't edit on my computer right now. So to answer the first question, I am smoking Pink Lady from Starbuzz's Bold Line out of my Sayoka hookah, out of a Hookah John red clay funnel bowl, 3 titanium flats with my Mason timber hose. This is by far my favorite hose. It's Mason Monday, guys. Mason Mondays. So that's why we smoke out of the Mason hose. Actually, I kind of smoke out of it every day, but that's neither here nor there. But anyways, let's get to the topic. Before I start talking about the movie, let's talk a little bit about the backstory of Mr. Shazam here, or also known as, for purists, the original Captain Marvel. Yes, Captain Marvel first made his debut back in Wiz Comics #2 because he wasn't cool enough to get a #1 issue because, you know, why not? He introduced himself as Captain Marvel back in the day. And like I said, he was in Wiz Comics issue #2. So before DC actually acquired the rights to Captain Marvel, or Shazam as he would be later called, he was originally the world's mightiest man, built by magic and all the other fun stuff. I'm not too into his backstory a little bit. I know the bare minimum of everything because for one, I do not indulge myself in a lot of DC content because I watched Batman the animated series a lot, but I was a Marvel person my entire life. So DC wasn't really on the radar until I got older and started learning a little bit more about comic books and stuff. But like I said, back in the day, in 1939, Shazam actually made his first debut, and he was competing with Superman. And the actual name Shazam, we'll get to that in a second, what that actually means. So Billy Batson was an orphan abandoned by his parents, and he was trying to find the good in humanity, basically. Well, that's what the wizard Shazam talked about. So basically, here's how it goes down. To my understanding, I tried to learn a little bit more and get a little bit more facts before I decided to make this video, so I sounded a little bit more intelligent about what I was talking about. But hey, you know, I'm not the best, okay? Don't blame me later. Don't exactly. So Shazam, the wizard, was an old wizard looking for someone pure of heart. So Billy Batson once got into a fight by some bullies and was running away and got trapped on a subway. As the subway transported him to this magical place known where the wizard was held by the Rock of Eternity, the source of all magical power, basically. Now, the wizard Shazam was looking for a champion to actually inherit his powers. So Billy Batson was chosen and was given the powers of Shazam, which basically means the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, I forgot what the other A stood for, and the speed of Mercury. So that's what Shazam actually stands for. It's an acronym for the word. And Billy Batson was a 14-year-old boy who was able to turn into a full-grown man to reach his full point of his potential by uttering the word Shazam. So that's what happened. Later in life, couple years down the line, Wiz Comics actually got into a little bit of legal issue with DC. And because Shazam was basically, they were saying that Shazam was basically a ripoff of Superman, which was, I wouldn't say like totally inaccurate. But Shazam is a magical version of Superman. So, I mean, I guess they kind of hit the nail on the head with that. But like I said, it got a little weird. So, like I said, Captain Marvel was the original. And back then, when DC actually acquired Wiz Comics and started making the Captain Marvel issues, there was more issues now with, well, Shazam being the fact that there was 2 Captain Marvels, one owned by DC, one one by DC Comics. So I still think this is utter ridiculously by Marvel's part by having the Kree warrior named Marvel. I don't get the name. It's very real creative. So later, Marvel ended up keeping the name Captain Marvel, and DC had to rename his character, so they just thought the name would be Shazam, a lot better. So that's where it is. So as you already know, the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline and everything with DC Comics. So now there's all these different types of continuities, and DC has been known to reboot their series a lot. And the movie is based off the New 52 version of Shazam, which goes as follows. The same kind of theory applies. Billy Batson is chosen by the Wizard Shazam, but instead of being asked for the champion, do you think he's pure of heart? Billy Batson actually says, that's ridiculous. There's no one pure of heart. And Shazam was either, about to die. So he's like, here, take my powers anyways. And then it's become Captain Marvel or Shazam. And that's where like I said, that's where the basis of the New 52 origin was actually adapted into the movie, which I thought was actually a lot better than the original because, in the original comics, Shazam actually took the characteristics of a full-grown, adult, and he actually had all the wisdom with Solomon and everything else like that, so he was kind of conscious. Now, in the New 52 version, when Billy Batson would turn into Shazam, he actually retained his kid nature at heart, so he was still an overgrown kid in the superhero's body, which I think is hilarious. And Zachary Levi was actually a really good part for that because he really does embody. You really do think he's a 14-year-old boy in this big-ass dude's body, and he's got big shoulders and everything, and a little ass head. I thought that was hilarious. So, like I said, I got to go see a pre-screening, so I actually been waiting to do this video for a while because I had just seen Captain Marvel for the MCU, and I like it, but I thought Shazam was a better video, so that's why I decided to wait a little bit and watch Shazam so I can actually do a Shazam video compared to, a Captain Marvel movie. And if you want to know my thoughts about that, maybe let me know. Maybe I'll do a video when the DVD release comes out or the Blu-ray release comes out. As I did with the movie review of Broly, we're going to go over a quick synopsis and what I thought was good and what I thought was bad. So going from the beginning where Billy Batson you're shown that, he's lost and he has to, find his mom pretty much lost him at a fair, which we find out later in the movie was not the case, but we'll get to that later. So Billy Batson is now a foster kid trying to find his mom. And he opens up like robbing a pawn shop, trying to find his mom. And he actually, tricked the cops and he stole the cops' lunch. And that was pretty funny. I like that part. The movie's very humorous. So he gets into that. He gets into all kinds of different kinds of trouble. And then he's finally given to a foster family with 5 other children. And I forgot the parents' names. Oh, man. I'm really bad at this. I'm actually really good at remembering a lot of different movie lines and stuff like that. Specific scenes in the movies. Names of the characters sometimes kind of elude me. But, Billy actually meets this superhero fanboy named Freddy, which is a kid with little awkward arms. You've seen the trailers. You know who I'm talking about. And you actually see Shazam or Billy beat up on the bullies, which he finds his way onto the train and into the Rock of Eternity, where he finds the Wizard Shazam. Oh, you know what? I actually skipped a good part of the beginning. So, in the beginning, we see the villain, Dr. Sivana, actually try to be chosen by the Wizard Shazam, but it was tempted by the 7 deadly sins into grabbing the eye. It was the eye? I forgot what the eye was. Like, it was just an eye portion, and he was tempted by it. So the Wizard Shazam did not give him the powers, and he was banished away. So, we see Dr. Sivana 20 years later, and the Wizard Shazam is still trying to find his champion. And we are, now seeing Dr. Sivana finally figured out how he got back to the Rock of Eternity. So he finds his way to the Rock of Eternity and actually re-meets the Wizard Shazam and tells him, my entire life I've been dreaming of this moment of coming back here. What would I do? And then I realized I'm not pure of heart, and takes the eye, sticks it in, and all of the 7 deadly sins actually come out of their stone statue as beings that they were trapped in and went back into the eye. So now Dr. Savannah has the power of all 7 deadly sins, which was pretty evil. Cutting back to when Billy actually is now meeting the old wizard Shazam, and he's about to die. He's about like, I need my champion, I pick you. And he gives the line, like in the new 52 version, there's no one pure of heart. And then he's like, speak my name. He's like, okay, well, what is your name? Shazam. And then Billy laughs like, Shazam? That's funny. Say it! Okay, Shazam. And then he gets, the powers of Shazam. And he actually becomes Zachary Levi character. You see him for the first time in the suit. Just come up. He's like tripping out. Like, how did he become this guy? And then he's trying to figure everything out, and then now he's trying to go home, but he doesn't know how to come back from, being super big. So he meets with his foster brother, Freddie, and he's like, what do I do? I don't even know how to pee in this thing. Like, what do I do? He's like, what are your superpowers? Well, I don't know. So for the majority of the movie, Billy is actually learning how to control his powers, lightning, super speed, and everything else like that, trying to learn how to fly. It's one thing I don't like about some movies is that all of the trailers kind of make the movie, and then you're already expecting these kinds of things to show. And Marvel does this a lot where you look at the trailers and then sometimes those scenes aren't even there. So it's a giant trip. So then Freddie and Billy try to learn how to do this, and Billy's learning all these cool different things. He has lightning powers, he's bulletproof and stuff like that. And the first thing he does as an adult, he's like, what am I going to do? He walks to a liquor store, and what does he say? I'd like to buy your finest beer, please. And then he buys some bootleg beer or some nonsense beer, and then he spits it out, and then he's a kid. So he's eating all kinds of junk food and trying to hit on girls and stuff like that. So that was like I said, this movie is actually a very, what's the word? It's very campy compared to how the DCEU has been, very dark, very brooding, Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, stuff like that, very dark. And it was a very, very uplifting feeling to watch this movie and actually have fun with it, because I'm not a DC fan by most standards, but when I watched this, Matt Desin, the only Matt Desin, the M and the AM Hookah podcast. How you doing, Matt Chu? For those of you who don't know, Matt Desin is a YouTuber, good friend of mine. He does his own hookah reviews and everything else like that. Check his channel out, Matt Desin. Not to mention, he is the M and AM Hookah podcast. So he does a podcast once every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday is the mainstream podcast. Wednesday is the Gamecast, and then Friday, him and or Adrian do technical difficulties. You're too kind. I'm not kind enough, Matthew. I'm not kind enough. So if you don't watch my content and you want to know some other, I'm itchy. You want to watch some other great content, Pipe Dream Hookah, Adrian, my twin is never on here because he, I think he secretly hates me. Don't tell him, Matt. Don't tell him. Just kidding. But no, check out their channels. I'll leave a link in the description below when I'm done here. But these guys are fucking fantastic. I love them. So this movie I hated Batman v Superman, and I hated almost the DC, but I think I'll like this. You will like this. This is actually a great movie you can take your kids to, Matt. It's real funny, and it's not super dark like I've been telling you for the first 14 minutes. And if you don't want spoilers, I suggest you get off now because I'm about to spoil this whole damn movie. So like I was saying, Billy is now trying to, learn his powers. And there's a funny scene where he's going through the mall and he has lightning powers. He's like, all right, what is my name? He's like, Sparkle Fingers or Captain Sparkle Fingers. Now I doubt I'll see it then. Then I'll see the bit. You probably will. It's such a funny movie. So he's going around charging phones like, your phone's charged, your phone's charged, your phone's charged. And then he charges one more dude's phone and it blows up. So I'm like, oh, God. So it was actually a really funny scene. And then we're trying to see Dr. Savannah is now all-powerful with the 7 deadly sins and kills his father who rejected him and pretty much called him a failure. stuff like that. And then they realize that the Wizard Shazam had given his powers to somebody else. So now he's trying to figure out, who is this guy? Who is the champion? And then we get into Shazam. Just, Billy's now a superhero, so he no longer feels the need to go to school. And he has a big old confrontation with Freddy and saying, you're not really your friend. This has all changed you, blah, 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 and stuff like that, which is cool. But you really get the feel that Billy's now, he thinks he's better than everybody else because he has these powers. As he's learning how to use his powers, he's realizing, like, oh, I'm 14, I can do whatever the fuck I want now. Like, forget you, crippled brother I have to live with now. I'm going to do my own thing. And then there's a scene where it's actually really heart-wrenching, where Freddy, says that he's friends with the red guy. They didn't give him his name until probably the end, Shazam. And he's like, oh, he's going to have lunch with me. That was not the case. So he got beaten up a little bit more, and then he has a confrontation with Freddy as he's now, showboating his powers, like, lightning from my hands, lightning from my hands. And that was actually a super funny scene. And then, what does Billy do? He accidentally shoots lightning and causes a scene, and saves a bunch of people from almost dying after his own thing. I see there's character growth, and that's awesome. DC movies always miss. Yeah, DC movies do actually miss that. A good example is Suicide Squad. They didn't have a lot of character development. They were just thrown into, here's the end of the world, go save it, which made it seem like anyone can do this, which obviously not everyone can just go save the world. So that's where Freddy is now trying to convey to Billy, like, hey, you're a superhero, you got to be smart. And Billy's like, screw you, I'm all by myself, and stuff like that. And I gotta say, the support cast in this whole movie was actually great. The first 45 minutes of it was great, and then it plot kicked in. Oh yeah, no, I agree. Like, it did. I think that's a negative side of this movie, that the plot did kind of drag on a lot for the most part, but overall it was actually a really good movie. The thing is with this movie, it didn't need to be as long as it was. I think it was like 120 something minutes when it should be only like 115 or something like that. Like, there was no need to have such a long origin story movie. But I think DC was trying to really rebrand themselves, because now that, Justice League, Batman v Superman, and, Suicide Squad and Man of Steel were all not terrible movies. I mean, I really do enjoy them because I do like watching some of those movies still, but they were pretty bad. Let's not give them too much praise. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor was, what's the word? Oh, that's right, terrible as Lex Luthor. So that's my 2 cents about that. I'm not going to get into that because, I love Jesse Eisenberg with stuff like that. It was shit. It really was. It was terrible. Jesse Eisenberg was terrible. But as the movie goes on, we see that the character development, like Matt was saying, was actually a lot better in this one than to most other DC films. And towards the end, the final fight, and which was super cool to me, is that if you read Shazam, which I read up a little bit on, there's actually a Shazam family of all of his foster children. And I really like this movie, and I saw the pops over at Hot Topic. I'm like, I need all 6 of them and the entire Shazam family, and now I have them all. I should have brought them all down, but I didn't want to have to take them all off the wall. So I just got, Shazam to hang out with me here. So he's joining the... Do you want to smoke? No, he's too good for that. Good comics around it. No, like, I've read some of his comics and I've read some of his backstory, and it's actually... Shazam's a very interesting character because he's basically a magical Superman, which is actually really cool because, we all know Superman's all-powerful. And Superman holds back a lot, and in between a fight between him and Shazam, they fought several times, and so he's, depending on the writer, Shazam wins or Superman wins. But in the Injustice comic book and movies, we now see an bound Superman just wrecking shop and kills Billy Batson. But it's okay. Billy comes back later in life, I'm sure, in continuity. Maybe it's comic books, who knows. Then, as the movie ends, towards the end, I think the final fight was actually really rushed because you see the seven deadly sins be able to vanish and everything. I have to see the trailer and the debuting or Superman. Oh my god, what is that? Brightburn or something? I have to see that. That looks fucking awesome. It looks like that's a Superman was fucking unhinged and then decided to go, murderous. That would be cool. I can't wait to see that one. That one looks really good. Matt, I think you're about to beat Chris for our #1 fan. You've commented the most on this whole video. I think on many other videos too. So I mean, shout out to Matt Desin. I'm gonna just troll him on the Gamecast. But you know what, Matt? I got a pretty good commission check this last month, and I just might have to get a Switch just so I could download Fighters and me and you have a duke it out, real man-to-man style. I will get Smash, but the thing is, I'm more of I liked Super Smash Brothers on the N64 and the GameCube, and then as it kept going on, I just got more and more, more and more characters, and I don't know how I'm supposed to handle all of those. So I don't know. I think I will end up buying Smash if I get the Switch, but I am gonna definitely buy Fighters first. No, I'm a big fighting game fan. Like I would play some first person shooters like Halo and what's the other one? Halo and Star Wars Battlefront. Those are the ones I really like the most. So if I'm not playing, Kingdom Hearts or something else, I'm most likely, playing one of those. Because as you know, I'm a big Star Wars fan. As you can see on my tattoo, kind of right here, and then Darth Vader's on my other wrist. Can't really see it. Now you can see it. Yeah. So there's gonna be that. But like I was saying, the seven deadly sins disappeared into smoke, so Shazam couldn't fight them. But then when all six of them become the Shazam family, they can suddenly fight the villains. Like that made no sense to me. It's like, okay, we're gonna fight, but we're gonna disappear. Now we're not gonna disappear. It was that part to me was seen a little bit lazy. I think they could have found a more creative way to fight the seven deadly sins, but Dr. Savannah being taken out and having the eye ripped out of his eye socket to put all the seven deadly sins back was interesting. I mean, it was kind of brutal. It went from fuck you to hi, how you doing? Real quick. It was like it's hard to keep track of. Like, wait, what just happened? But no, overall, I think if you are wanting something a little bit different from the DCEU and wanting to see more of a family film, I mean, Shazam is the movie for you. I haven't seen Aquaman, and I haven't seen Woman. The problems I have with those two is basically it's just Captain America and Black Panther. Is what it is. So there's that. What I really did like about the film is that, like Matt and we were talking about a little bit ago, is that the character development of Billy Batson, actually really changed from when he actually met his mother and found out that, I just left you because I thought anyone would be a better parent than me. And seeing that he finally realized that he found a family with this adopted family that he's now found, it became the Shazam family. They now have this great sense of, I have belonging and you're really the family that I am, compared to, just the meaning of family just kind of overtones the whole thing. Like, oh, yeah, we're a family, but I don't like you kind of feel to it. But then Billy actually finally realizes that he's found a home. And what the bad thing I don't like about this movie, and for one, it did feel a little lengthy. For an origin film, I didn't need it to be that long, in my own personal opinion. Like I said, in the final fight when the Shazam family is fighting the seven deadly sins, that was also, another thing that wasn't needed to be there. I think they should have found another way to fight the sins, just being lazy about it and saying, "Hey, we're gonna do this now, and this is how it ends." And that to me was kind of, like I said, it's just lazy writing, in my personal opinion. So I mean, there's that negative aspect to it. The positives I want to say is actually Darla, the little the youngest adopted sister was actually super cute and adorable. He was like, oh, I want to be a good sister. I'm not going to tell anyone. And then he's like, finally, I can tell people that he's the hero. It's like, Darla, how'd you know? I was like, because I'm a good sister. She was actually a really fun part of the movie. Freddie, I think, being an overboy or superhero fanboy was actually a really fun thing too, which is awesome. Because guess what? Like that's if superheroes were around, there are going to be people like Freddie who's trying to collect everything, like bullets that bounced off Superman and stuff like that. And that part was actually kind of cool. And then he has the replica batarang and stuff like that. Another thing I think was negative for me actually was the presence of Dr. Savannah. We only saw him very few times, and then when he came, he had a very big presence. So that thing for me, because Dr. Savannah had a really tragic backstory where he just felt like he knew he was good enough for this, but the wizard Shazam just said, like, no, just because you were tempted by the 7 deadly sins, you're gone. Goodbye. But I think is crazy because not everyone's tempted by something, which I thought was kind of poor judgment in the wizard who's trying to find the good in somebody. But I mean, that's my own personal opinion on the matter. We're about to see a rare sighting of my room. Hello. Everyone, you're already familiar with my roommate. Hello, dude. It's not even that bad. Relax. Acting like I'm smoking cigarettes. We're just going to ignore her about that. But no, there was a lot of good things and few negatives, in my opinion, of the movie Shazam. So, like I was saying, if you really do want to see a more lighthearted DC film compared to, the gritty aspect of what the movie has been, then by all means, go check it out. I recommend it, like, I would say 8 out of 10 because I do have my problems with it, and I'm not a big DC fan, which would make it not a 10 out of 10 because, Marvel is my homecoming. So that's what I like to watch a little bit more. But that is all that I have for this video. I'm actually going to sign off and, smoke a little bit more because this bowl just started and it's about to be a fun night. So until next time, guys, keep smoking.